Good morning. Welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Monday, November 15th, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Hamilton, Bermuda, 12:30, and in Mexico City, 10:30. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL Instant Mail address is CATEX-TV. Some noteworthy events occurred over the weekend. The Burmese dissident Aung San Suu Kyi was released from home arrest and said on CNN just a few minutes ago that she hopes to engage in a dialogue with the ruling military regime in Myanmar. Also, the Japanese economy grew at a 0.9% rate for the fourth quarter, 3.6% rate for the year, which just about shocked everybody. That's very good news. Now we'll go to our main news. There's a towering inferno going on now in Shanghai. A 30-story condominium office building is on fire. At least 12 people have died. A number of the people have jumped from windows for a lack of any other way to escape. Chinese state media is saying that more than 80 fire engines are currently at the scene. They're trying to bring the fire under control. The cause of the building is unclear. However, there was construction scaffolding around the building. Some witnesses are saying that may have caught on fire first. The building has about 500 apartments in it. Agence France Presse is reporting that only 8 people have died, although the Chinese news agency is saying it's up to a dozen. Also on Sunday morning, 7 people were killed in the central French city of Dijon. It was a hostile fire pictured here. There were mainly immigrant workers who were killed. The fire began in a rubbish bin on the ground floor of this building, and apparently, according to the mayor's office, the winds were unfavorable, blowing the flames against the wall of the building. Again, with this one, a number of people jumped out of windows to attempt to escape the flames. Hardy's Underwriting has rejected a revised offer from Lloyd's insurer Beazley. Beazley had proposed an offer of £3.30 a share. This is up from its initial offer of last month of £3 a share. However, Beazley said it was told by Hardy's on Thursday, actually on Friday, that Hardy would not recommend the new $3.30 share offer to the board and would not be prepared to even meet with Beazley to discuss it. Beazley argues that its offer would have, quote, fully valued Hardy's, as it represents a 50% premium to Hardy's closing price on October 5th and a 47% volume weighted average over the past 3 months of their shares price. They also said, Beazley did, that the new proposal would have increased the goodwill value ascribed to Hardy by 50%. The language of Beazley's statement suggests that they're not going to make a revised offer. Quote, Beazley believes that the board's resistance is not in the interests of Hardy shareholders. In the absence of any encouragement from shareholders to the board to adopt a more constructive approach, we will withdraw our revised proposal. It's an article in Insurance Day today. This sort of has your head scratching a little bit. They took a survey in connection with their technology conference a few weeks back. Here are the results. Improved data quality is the market modernization benefit that ranked most important to the, quote, personal effectiveness of survey respondents. More than half the practitioners surveyed, about 51%, opted for better data. Underwriters voted 57.5% for that, singling it out as the one thing that would make their lives easier. Improved management information was the second most popular choice. Here's some more. 32% of the brokers said more automation in processes would be helpful. Also, both brokers and underwriters felt that improved business continuity was the least important benefit of all the options available, with a number of respondents across both job functions, brokers and underwriters, with that opinion. One response said, quote, improved business continuity would have absolutely no impact on my personal effectiveness. Here's a story that only the Insurance Insider is running. This is one of the big ones, those who will report it. Insider is saying that QBE Insurance is attempting to buy a giant $1.3 billion U.S. multi-year global reinsurance program that will test the state of the market as the key January 1 renewal date approaches. According to sources, QBE, which is buying companies at a good clip, is looking to secure a 3-year deal that will combine all the companies in their fleet. As I say, nobody else is reporting this yet. We're looking for more information on it. One of the big Lloyd's syndicates, Amlin, came in with their numbers. They wrote gross premiums of £1.9 billion in the first 10 months of the year. It's up about 40% from the $1.37 billion it wrote in the same period last year. Amlin said that the trading environment in the first 10 months of this year had been mixed. There had been some downward pressure on rates in some areas, but upward momentum in others. Prices across Amlin's book fell by about 1.9%, compared with a 4.4% increase over the same time last year. Rates in the international account were down 0.5%. U.S. cat reinsurance business fell about 5.4%. Amlin said that the earthquakes in Chile and New Zealand during this period would increase rates in their respective territories, but would not help with any downward pressure elsewhere. Property and casualty rates dipped about 1.7%. Marine rates were broadly flat, but Amlin did say that the Deepwater Horizon disaster had pushed up prices by about 50%, particularly for coverage of drilling in deeper waters. Amlin now estimating its exposure to the Christchurch September earthquake at $75 million. The stock market in New York is up about 46 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news.
Design for peace.
MSNBC is reporting now in that Shanghai building fire that 42 people, at least 42 people, are now known dead. That's a big increase from 12. In the United States, the Commerce Department came out with some numbers. Retail sales, boosted by a strong demand for cars, increased in October by the largest amount in 7 months. Commerce Department reported this morning at 8:30 that retail sales rose 1.2% last month. That was nearly double the gain that had been expected and the largest increase since March. Much of the strength came from a big rise in car sales. If you knock out cars, retail sales rose a more modest 0.4%. This is the fourth straight increase in retail sales after sales had fallen in May and June. The Irish government is saying that it is in continuous talks with the EU over the country's debt crisis, but denies that any direct discussions about a bailout are taking place. Over the weekend in particular, EU sources have been quoted as saying that talks on a possible bailout were underway and that Ireland, with borrowing costs increasing dramatically, was unlikely to hold out without any assistance like that. But a junior minister for European Affairs in Dublin, Dick Roche, said on a radio interview this morning that reports that Ireland needed funds from the International Monetary Fund or the EU are, quote, simply wrong. He said there is continuous talk going on about the level of our debt, but the suggestion that constitutes going to the IMF or the bailout is just irresponsible. He said more talk like this could continue to make the situation very, very dangerous. The country's borrowing costs shot to record highs in the past week on concerns about a deficit set to hit 32% of gross domestic product this year. Just before we came on the air, there were more reports that a $350 million loan package is being prepared by the EU for them. Here's an interesting story. You have to cover both sides. Airbus is saying from France at their headquarters that the Qantas A380 that was damaged in the engine explosion outside of Singapore about 12 days ago handled that situation as it was designed to do it. The plane lost a whole number of systems, generated more than 50 error messages, and reportedly suffered damage to a wing spar when that turbine disc in the engine disintegrated. Ended up peppering the left wing with shrapnel. Some pilots have expressed concern about the extent of the damage caused by the blown engine, but Airbus Chief Operating Officer John Leahy said that both EADS and Qantas were happy the way the A380's, quote, fail-safe design handled the event. Leahy said that modern planes are designed to new production and certification standards that included a high redundancy with the plane structure. He said that this meant a wingspan could be damaged and the loads it would normally bear would be redistributed. Mr. Leahy said, quote, you don't have the old design standards of the 60s and 70s, which if you lose a structural part, you might lose the plane. Here you always have a separate load path. Airbus said they didn't see any significant issues with the plane design, but would look at any recommendations from investigators. Mr. Leahy said that Airbus would not get access to the damaged A380 until this week, and he could not say exactly how long it would take to repair. Qantas had another incident this morning. An electrical fault sent smoke into the cockpit of one of their 747s, forced the plane to turn back to Sydney. The plane was on en route from Sydney to Buenos Aires in Brazil. It was carrying 221 passengers. Smoke filled the cockpit. The pilot turned the engine off and dumped fuel and came back, and he landed without incident. This is the fourth incident now with Qantas, including the A380 that blew the engine. On Friday, a Qantas 767 of Boeing turned back to Sydney on a domestic flight in Australia after pilots detected abnormal vibrations in one of its two General Electric engines. The previous week, a Sydney-bound Qantas did return to Singapore after a 747 caught fire in the engine just after takeoff. Well, in our final story, this is an interesting one. I guess it's always problematic if you get a celebrity as one of your pitch people, because something can happen to the celebrity and then there goes your product. Well, brands, companies are taking out something called disgrace insurance policies to cover themselves if their celebrity pitch people get caught with their pants down. High-profile celebrity sex scandals are now causing an insurance industry boom with the take-up of so-called disgrace insurance policies designed to protect companies when their celebrity ambassadors become embroiled in sleaze. Mark Simons, an underwriter at Beasley, said, we've probably seen an increase in about 30% over the past couple of years because there have been some very high-profile cases in the past few years. There's been an uptake in interest. Brand owners face losing millions if they're forced to terminate partnership deals as a result of a public scandal. Death, disability, and disgrace cover is nothing new, but the increased emphasis on the disgrace element is. The cover rests on whether an ambassador's actions can be seen to be unforeseen or out of character, and therefore detrimental to a brand. Recent cases have seen a Coca-Cola plan to use Wayne Rooney, the football player, on Coke Zero products.